I've got to give a lot of credit to Rotten Mango. She does a lot of research, and the research is really quite impressive. I'd say it's a mixture of the research and the storytelling methods that are used. Her storytelling is magnificent. She'll even do that things that films do, where it's got like that type of modular narrative, and she'll jump ahead of the timeline, ahead of the story, and then come back, and she'll do flash forwards and flashbacks, and it's magnificent. She's a modern day bard. She really is. A bard, if you don't know what that is a storyteller from back in like the Greek times, back in ancient Greece. That's what a storyteller is. That's what a bard is. They would tell long stories like epics, novels. They would tell those, and apparently they would tell them in the form of poems. So they were quite eloquent. And I would actually say that Rotten Mango lady is very eloquent as well. One of the ones that I've seen of hers was the one about squid fishing, and how like a boat of about 30 people came back with about 10 or 11. And it's crazy. Like, for me, it uncovered the state of squid fishing. However, when I've had a look at a few sources that talk about squid fishing, the sources that I have seen appear to be, or the source, let's say, maybe not sources, the source that I've seen is quite a biased one. So I might take this information with a pinch of salt. Maybe it's not as bad as was depicted, or as some of the sources say. I'm sure there are good experiences, or people who have good careers doing squid fishing and make a lot of money and bring a healthy lot of cash back to their families, support their families, and live a decent life. I'm sure that does exist. I'm sure it's not all doom and gloom, because like it did kind of appear as if it was a degree of propaganda in the video. Yeah, so I watched that one about squid fishing. Now let's just say that, it's true and all the rest of it, okay. It was a crazy story. It really was. Like, it seemed like one man took power and went for it, but then in the same instance, the power was previously held by the captain, who didn't seem like a good or fair captain. I suppose he might have been good and fair if you consider what his job was, and that was to keep all costs down. That includes paying your staff, and just get them to catch squid. I would say catch as much squid as possible, but if they were after as much squid as possible, they would have done things correctly. So I don't think even catching as much squid as possible was part of the objective here. Because if it was, they've got to redo this layout that they've got to handle that work, because it seemed like it was more weighted toward causing misery than getting as many squid caught as possible. I saw something which mentioned that squid wasn't like the initial plan. Like, that wasn't what people were after eating, right? Instead, it was something else. I think, was it prawns or something? I don't know. It was something else. But stocks of that ran low. And there was massive stocks of squid. And so some dude renamed it. He used, I think, the Italian word for it, or Spanish, something like that, different language. And their word was calamari. He took that, renamed it with that, and it sold like hotcakes, or squid cakes. It's interesting that how renaming something, putting a different word on it, a different spin on it, changing the language around something can have such a massive impact. I know that lobster was quite similar. Lobster was something which was, people, I think they didn't want it. but it was repositioned, it was remarketed as a delicacy, something for the rich or whatever. And then it started selling like hotcakes again. Find that interesting too. But yeah, that was one of the Rotten Mango episodes that I've gone through, and very impressive. I'm telling you, her work is very impressive. So that's one. Now, the other one was more recent one. It was the Epstein one. And the things uncovered on there, again, mind-blowing research, mind-blowing storytelling. The way the information is delivered, genius. Honestly, she does a great job. And then Ghislaine, holy moly. Maxwell House coffee only. Work like you're invisible, like you can't be seen. The things which come out are just amazing. And I didn't know that her little cabin, well, I say little, her cabin in the woods or in the countryside was called Tucked Away. What a name. And there she was, tucked away in that cabin. But yeah, Rotten Mango is really good. The facts that she gets are great. Yeah. Again, there was a certain, what I would call biased source, which was supporting some of the squid fishing thing, but it may well still be true, you know. I mean, just because a biased source jumps onto the bandwagon doesn't mean the whole thing is false. I reckon that one instance, of course, is true. I'd go with that, but I wouldn't worry too much about the whole industry. There's probably going to be issues in the industry, which there are a lot of in a lot of industries. And I do think that people in that situation should really be supported. Ways should be found to make that job better, easier. It shouldn't be torture for the people doing the work, ever. That's not right. But I like to think, at least, that there are the majority of people who are doing that job are in a good state. I hope that's the case. So yeah, I'm going to give you my rating of Rotten Mango. Oh no, actually, before I do, I'm halfway through one more of her episodes, which I'm going to go through now. I'm going to finish that off. And it's about no, in fact, I finished it. And I started another one straight after. Anyway, right now, I'm on the Too Beautiful to Kill story about some Japanese girl, I think, killing someone. So I've just started that. But prior to that, I was on the one which was a reality TV show, Korean reality TV show, caught a serial husband killer. I was mental. So there was this girl who appeared on TV when she was young. When she was young, she was taking care of her like elderly parents. And I don't know if they're elderly, but she was taking care of her parents, right? And then she grows up, and oh yeah, by the way, from that show she gets loads of fans and stuff, right? And they like follow her life a little bit, I don't know. And then she runs in certain strange circles where she starts getting paid for adult activities, let's say. So that's a very tragic life in itself. I'm sure that took its toll on her. And then she's got this thing like about collecting insurance, life insurance, from her husbands. So she gets married, takes out life insurance on the guy, and then starts working on how she's going to collect that life insurance, if you know what I mean. Yeah, she's working on their demise. And then it tells the story of how this one husband of hers was killed, and how apparently that girl like worked on it and made it happen. And it's a very, very sad story. a really, really tragic story, and the guy who it happened to seems like a really, really nice guy. It's a real shame. I suppose you learn that these things happen. Do you know what I mean? That was beaming me. Did you see that? Did that beam show on me? Because that motorbike was beaming like crazy. Right. So now it is time to give Rotten Mangoes her rating. And I give Rotten Mangoes, for that podcast, for the work she does, for the type it is, she gets a 9.5 out of 10. A 9.5 out of 10. I would do that thing where I'd give her a 10 out of 10, but if I give her a 10 out of 10, then I can't go any higher than that. But she's basically there, really. So yeah, I've not heard loads of it. I've heard some of it, and what I've heard is absolute quality. The research, the details, the delivery, the quality, everything magnificent. Yeah, absolutely magnificent. She's really good. There was something else I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I don't listen to too much of it. I probably am not gonna listen to too much of it because it's, for me, I'm not probably the audience for it. There is an audience for this kind of stuff, but I might not be the audience for it. And what I mean by that is, it's a lot of like death and murder and like, you know, the real cold part of humanity, you know, that real dark side of human beings, and so I might not be the audience for this podcast for that reason, because I don't really like learning too much about the dark side of people. I feel like I already know a lot about it already, and I don't need to learn or want to learn any more of it, you know what I mean? So yeah. But I find the whole internet sleuth, the netizens, you know, investigating things, I find that stuff really, really interesting. And probably the best example of it is on that podcast. So again, that's another plus point to her, because she's really got the netizens, which are the internet citizens, on her side, and really doing the research, and I find that to be amazing, actually, because the community that's on the internet that does that research and that solves these unsolved crimes and things like that, or adds detail to things that have occurred, I find that to be magnificent, because we are in the information age. We're more than that now, you know. We're past the information age now. We're in something else now. It's more than that, and it being used to solve things, you know, solve crimes that have occurred, solve ongoing mysteries, you know, pooling the knowledge that's on this planet is just a magnificent use of the resources that we have. And so the internet sleuth, the internet detective, the netizen investigation type thing really is something which I do find to be impressive, amazing, and I feel like there should be ways to, I suppose these are what forums are, aren't they? I was going to say it'd be great if there were ways to connect more people in that sense, connect more communities, connect people who are thinking about a certain thing, you know. But then on the flip side of that, I suppose governments and things don't want a lot of people to be connected in that way, because that's how things like uprisings happen, or like, is coup a right word? Is that how coups happen? I feel like coup is more of a military word. But, you know, governments get overthrown, revolutions happen when that happens. So maybe that's like something which the government might be against, because it might feed anarchy or anarchic desires, let's say. So yes, once again, Rotten Mango, magnificent. I'm sure I'm going to watch quite a few more, but I know that I will steer clear of quite a lot too. But again, there is definitely an audience for it, and the work is outstanding. The quality is mind-blowing. It makes total sense why she's got as many subscribers and stuff as she already has, and why it's probably just going to grow and grow and grow. It is addictive, and the quality is top tier, really is. Anyway, there's my little discussion about Rotten Mango, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. You got my review. Yeah, see you later, take it easy, catch you in a bit.